Are you wondering if you need to add grit or oyster shell to your quail's diet? Well, that's what we're going to discuss in today's video. I'm going to get it all cleared up for you. Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Rednecked video. Again, my name is Chris. If you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, your deck, your garage, or heck, even a spare room in your house if that's the way you want to do it. Today's video, we're talking about grit and oyster shell in your quail's diet. Is it necessary to do? I'm going to apologize right now for the noise going on. If you can hear that, I got some neighbors having a roof put on, so there's some roofers over there working. You may hear some banging around. But let's get right to the topic here real quick. Okay, so do you need to add grit or oyster shell to your quail's diet? It depends, like most answers. And I hate to do that to you guys, but it really does depend on a few things. If you are feeding a game bird starter or a turkey starter to your quail, chances are you don't need to add either one of those things to your quail's diet. Those high protein quail starter, or excuse me, game bird starter or turkey starter is going to supply pretty much everything that your quail needs in its diet, and they don't need grit to help digest that, especially if it's a crumble form. Now, there are times when you may need to add some extra calcium or you may need to add some grit. Let's address each one of those separately. First of all, grit. Is it necessary? In some cases, it is necessary. Quail are just like chickens. They don't have any teeth to chew up food. So if you're feeding your quail seeds, unhulled seeds, natural diets, fodder, those kinds of things, then yeah, it's probably a really good idea to add some grit to your quail's diet to give them help them with digesting it, with grinding that food up in their crop, or in their gullet, I should say. So if you are feeding, again, a game bird starter or a poultry starter, then no, you don't need to worry about any kind of extra grit because that is already a very easily digestible crumble food. No need for grit. They don't need any help with that. Now, same thing with calcium. Depends on what you're feeding your birds. If you're feeding them an all-natural diet and mostly they're foraging for their food or they are being fed seeds and fodder and those kinds of things, then yeah, it's probably not a bad idea to add some calcium to your bird's diet. You can use oyster shell, you can use crushed up egg shells, any number of things are going to work just fine for that. But if you're feeding a game bird starter or a poultry starter, as long as it has about 1.5% to 2%, 2.5%, somewhere right around in there, of calcium, and just check the label, it'll tell you, they don't need any additional calcium than that. That's perfect amounts of calcium for them, and they don't need them. If you are getting eggs that are, a shellless egg or something like that every once in a while, that's just normal. It has nothing to do with a lack of calcium causing that. Don't worry about it. In fact, I've done a video on this before. If you add too much calcium to your bird's diet, it can actually have some negative effects on them, specifically with the hatch rates of your eggs, because it makes the egg shells much, much thicker and can make it very hard for the quail chicks to pip and get their way out of the shell. So it's probably best to not add extra calcium in those situations. All right, so you can see it's not necessarily a very simple answer, but again, if you're just feeding your birds with a crumble mix, as long as it's a quality game bird starter or turkey starter, you're probably fine, and you don't need to worry about adding any kind of supplements to your feed. Hopefully that clears a few things up for you guys. Leave me a comment below. Let me know, do you add grit to your quail feed? Do you add calcium to your quail? And what experience have you had with those kinds of things? Thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, God bless.